So SAG-AFTRA, which is the Screen Actors Guild, is probably also going to be on strike soon, joining the Writers Guild. No end in sight, really. I feel like this is going to create a huge gap.
So the actors and the writers, they've all stricken. So who's
maybe the actors are going to. That's to be decided soon. But yeah, I don't know. So the CEOs really have to get that AI into acting shape.
CEOs and executives, like, okay,
the AI are also going to be the actors now.
Yeah, they're gonna have to hope they can be. Yeah. So that's my.
Ray saw a meme the other day. It was something like, I didn't expect humans to have to do all the hard-working minimum wage jobs while the robots got to write poetry and make art.
I said, that was the future I wanted, or something like that. It's like, yeah, no, that wasn't really what I envisioned either.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, but someone still has to do the grunt work, and it's not gonna be the robots.
It's kind of funny because
they're expensive.
I'm rewatching Futurama now. New Futurama episodes are coming out soon, but this whole bit with the Screen Actors Guild and the AI just feels like a pre-made Futurama episode, just ready to happen. So I'm excited to see what they do. I feel like they got a lot to come back to.
Yeah, I think so. So yeah, every time, only when I'm recording here, I'll make an update on labor relations in Hollywood.
That's important.
Yeah, and also yeah. No. The next bit actually I'll save for what we watched recently. Instead, I'll just say I don't know how to start the podcast yet, as you all know. So it'll either be whatever I keep from what we've said so far. I've been recording for about 3 minutes, or something along the lines of "Welcome to Late to the Movies." My name is Ben Holden. This is a podcast where my friends and I get to fill in our movie blind spots. Each week, we'll pick a movie that either I or a guest hadn't seen before and really should have remembered me by now. This week, that movie is Coco, Disney's 2017? Maybe it's 2017. If not, I'll have to cut this out. 2017, it's
you leave your mistakes in there, damn it.
I said Disney's, but it's also a Pixar movie.
I'm excited now for next episode when you start discussing the labor relations, but it's just going to be you talking, and the update is going to be that we're all on strike.
You made that joke last time.
You did, yeah.
Yeah, 2017.
Knew it.
It's our, I think, first Pixar movie.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
We've done Disney before, but we haven't done a Pixar movie.
This is a good Pixar movie to start with.
It's the best one.
It's a bold statement.
We'll get there. Okay. But before we get there, let's talk about this. Have you guys watched anything interesting or good recently? Doesn't have to be both.
I rewatched Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Okay.
Love that movie.
I actually read an article about it recently, and then I was like, you know what? This is a good reminder about that movie.
I have not rewatched in a while. It felt like Jason Segel was going to be such a world-beating A-lister for so long, and sort of fizzled for him.
No.
He's on an Apple TV show with Harrison Ford now. Yeah, I like that movie a lot, though. I haven't watched it in forever.
I don't feel like he really wants it that bad.
No, it doesn't seem like he doesn't seem to.
I feel like
it's not like he's trying and failing.
Yeah, I feel like he could have put in the effort and done that, and he was just like,
He got to make a Muppet movie, and it seems like that is all he wanted.
You know, he made that a big plot point in Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and I think that was just he really just wanted to do that.
It's not like he had a string of major flops or anything.
No.
Yeah, no.
He did all his good movies, then he got his Muppet movie he wanted, and I think that was one of the last things I remember him being.
He's like, I still have a ton of money. Yep, okay, yeah. Oh, I'm just gonna fuck off and be Jason Segel.
Yeah. That's
but that article that I read was when he was writing that movie, that scene of him being naked and breaking up with somebody actually happened to him in real life.
I read that article too. Yes, okay.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
And they were like, wow, it's really brave of somebody to put that in a movie.
Yeah, that's up. I'd have to really look at it, but the Apatow comedy troupe that was making so many movies around that time, I think that might be the movie that I would most want to revisit. So that's Knocked Up, 40-Year-Old Virgin. Maybe 40-Year-Old Virgin is probably the funniest one, but all those movies, Funny People, all those movies.
Yeah.
Out of all those, Forgetting Sarah Marshall would be my favorite. I love Forgetting Sarah Marshall.
Yeah, it's not some of the other ones the Judd Apatow movies always have like the third act where like, ooh, Seth Rogen's going to put his bong away and he's going to be serious now. Or Amy Schumer's not going to drink anymore in that one Amy Schumer movie. That's actually pretty good. But I feel like Forgetting Sarah Marshall is just funny the whole time.
Yeah, it's a really good one. Russell Brand's really good in it too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then Get Him to the Greek is a really weird diversion, but still good. I still liked the movie.
It was fun.
though.
I love that one too.
Yeah. I didn't mean weird in a bad way. I just meant like for that to be kind of a sequel,
Oh
but
yeah.
also not really.
It's just like in the.
It's just that character. We wanted to do
Jennifer-
something else with him
It's also really weird because they reused Jonah Hill, right?
Yes.
in a different role. But
Yeah, he's a different person.
Yeah,
But
he's,
also loves Russell Brand.
They really could have they could have finagled that. That would have been hilarious.
Yeah.
Like Jonah Hill was the
same guy.
same guy.
Yeah, I like that.
I mean, it's fine that they didn't. I get it.
Or it's just a perfect doppelganger of the same guy, and Russell Brand just didn't care enough about him to notice.
That could
Yes.
be it too. I like that.
Yeah, I think I like that.
You don't even remember me from the whole Hawaii thing, dude?
Yeah.
That would have been a fun post-credit scene.
So that was healthy considering people were like, I didn't really watch anything. That was pretty good. I think
Oh,
we
yeah,
just all
yeah.
like that movie. So
Oh no. Did I actually watch something? Oh, I've been keeping up with Barry. There's only 2 episodes left.
yes, it's going places.
It's going places. Have you kept up
Yeah,
with it?
yeah.
I missed the beginning of the episode where it was like 8 years in the future, and I was like, is this like a fucked up dream? Like, what the fuck's going on here?
I don't know. I haven't fully bought into where the second half of this season's gone. I'm kind of need to see what they do with the finish now, I guess.
I got no judgments. There's 2 episodes left. We'll
Is
see.
this like the end of the series?
Yeah.
And they went.
They went some places. It's a show that I feel like, I guess depending on how it ends, maybe I'll have to reevaluate. I feel like that could be the case. But you do feel the tension of Bill Hader maybe not wanting to make the show that they started making anymore, and maybe he wants to go direct horror movies and not make a show that kind of started as a comedy and isn't very funny anymore.
I think regardless of what happens, the show deserves a rewatch. I think.
Oh yeah.
I think
I think
it's
that's
gonna
fair.
need I think it's gonna need a fresh set of eyes after you see the ending, and
I
then
think
you
that's
can reevaluate like how funny it really was.
Yeah. For other shows that are ending, just because I mentioned them before and cut them out last time, so I'll just go quick so I don't have to cut it out this time. Succession has been all bangers. It's going to some incredible places. It had its most recent episode as we're recording, which won't be the most recent episode when this episode comes out, was America Decides, their election episode, which was the best political satire on modern TV probably ever. Just incredible stuff that they're doing, and that is also making really bold choices and going in really interesting directions, and I am really, really loving this last season. And then I cannot say the same for Ted Lasso, which is in maybe unconfirmed, but seems like probably its last season and has gone off the rails. Not good. Real bad now.
Wow.
Ted Lasso suffers from what I like to call has a really dumb name-itis, so I'm never gonna watch it.
That was the point. He started as a commercial character, and then much like Ernest, got this whole second career after commercial, and is now it's weird, kind of quirky premise that was a half-hour sitcom for 2 seasons is now, for some reason in this season, an hour-long drama, and it's not working.
Interesting.
Yeah. Let's transition. Before we get there, though, I've seen this movie a number of times. I liked it a lot the first time I saw it. That opinion hasn't really changed. How about you guys?
Yeah, I've seen it a bunch of times.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen this movie a ton of times. I feel like I liked it a lot the first couple times I saw it, and I feel like my opinion of it has just kind of grown every time I watch this movie. I like it more.
Cool. How about you?
Yeah, I've never seen it. No, I watched it for the first time last night. It was really good.
Oh, good. I'm glad you think so. Was there any like specific reason you avoided it besides it's just like is a kid's movie and you didn't necessarily seek it out?
I was gonna say like I didn't avoid it. Like no, I just don't. I don't have children or like young
Yeah,
kids
was
in
it-
my vicinity, so I don't generally watch children's
Was it the
movies.
30-minute trailer before it that really turned you off the movie theaters?
I didn't see it in theaters, but this is the one that had the
This is the
30-minute Olaf
So-
thing.
Yes.
Yeah, so it had regular trailers and stuff, but then Disney decided to put a short before it.
Which they usually do.
Every
Like-
Pixar movie, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Every
they'll
Pixar
usually have
movie
like a
does.
Pixar short, but instead of doing a Pixar short, they did a Disney one. I think as like promotion because Frozen 2 was going to be coming out or something.
So it was a Frozen short, but the thing
28
was
minutes long. or
yeah. So they had made this thing that they were going to put on TV. It was like a Christmas special, and then they watched it and they're like, "This is too good for TV. It needs to be in a theater." So they decided to put it before Coco.
And Ray was working. You were working on the movies at the time because people would come out and complain that the wrong thing was on because it was so long that people could not like.
Imagine that the studio would do that.
Yeah,
Who would bring
I mean,
your
once it's been
children to
on
come
for
see Coco?
15 minutes, you probably are like, this is just the wrong movie.
Yes.
This is the wrong movie. I love the thought process too. They're like, wow, we made something really good. Can't give it to those poors for free. Put it in the theaters.
they pulled it after like a week, I think, because there were so many complaints about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had to put like a sign out and be like, and people would come buy tickets and be like, you might want to come like a half hour late.
It's fantastic. It's like when I saw the second Star Wars movie, they were like, there's a minute of silence like at an hour and 50 into the movie. This
Sound's
is
not
intentional. Sound is not broken.
People are so stupid.
But like people would be so angry because
This, not
they
in
bring
this
their kids.
situation, because that makes a
that's
ton of
reasonable.
sense.
Yeah.
This
The-
is just like
Yeah,
you couldn't
yeah.
have waited literally
Yes.
like 40. I think it's 45
obvious
seconds.
supported by what's happening in the context of the movie,
movie.
dropping of sound.
Like
yeah.
instead of having a like, wow, what a powerful effect.
'Cause
you
it
have
lasts
like,
less
this
than a
shit-
minute,
this
really.
shit's broken like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. But no, this totally makes sense that people with their kids would be upset. Coco's not that short.
It's not
either.
short, so now they're like, well, now I have my 4-year-old that's sitting through a TV show and a movie, like,
Right.
and commercials, and
Especially since like I mean, Frozen's fairly gendered, so like
Yeah.
you know what I mean.
yeah, and then
Coco
it's
is
like
probably less. So
my
if you're
kid
bringing
doesn't
your
like Frozen, like they don't want to sit here and watch this.
right,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah. The Pixar shorts are usually like, what, 5 to 10 minutes tops?
I
think
think-
the Pixar shorts I remember is like the old man playing chess. Like
Yeah.
That's
feel
what
like
they are. Yeah.
they used to not even
a few
make
minutes.
sense.
Yeah.
5 minutes is probably the average.
Yeah, I doubt I can
Yeah.
ever think of too many.
I don't
other
even feel like they were for kids a lot of times. Like that old man playing chess
Yeah.
thing. That wasn't like a kid like.
Yeah, they're more like
A lot of
For
them are
kid
just
now.
sort of like
I don't know.
classic shorts that's just almost, there's like no dialogue almost, and they're
Yeah.
just
Need
like,
Guillermo
thing
del
that's
Toro
going
to
on.
come on here and give his speech about animation not being a children's
Right,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
well, we're doing a Disney movie today. A Disney Pixar movie still, it's for kids, but
Yeah.
people can appreciate. A movie that I feel like is a really interesting crossroads for Pixar. I think before, well, let's do a 1 minute plot summary, huh? You want to? Do you want someone else to? How are you feeling?
Sure, you can do one. It's been a while.
Whenever you're ready.
All right. So you have a family that has forbidden music because the far away, I guess I don't want to say patriarch because it's a matriarchal family, but whatever. Guy left the family, abandoned family, blah, 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 blah. You have a kid who has a deep connection with music. He really wants to play. There's a competition. He needs a guitar. Can't find one. He had built one, but his grandmother smashes it. Breaks into who he thinks is his grandfather's tomb. Gets the guitar. It's the Dia de los Muertos, so they end up going to the underworld because it's the one day a year where that can happen. He meets his ancestors. They offer to get him back to the real world. He needs their blessing, but the blessing comes with the caveat that he can't ever play music. Blah, 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 blah. Underworld adventure, finds this other guy that's going to help him get to his grandfather. Turns out that this other guy is the guy that really wrote all the music in his songs. He was going to go back to his family, but the big famous popular musician poisoned him, stole his music, blah, 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 blah. They end up reconciling. He gets back to his family. He puts the person's picture back on the ofrenda so that they can remember him, and he doesn't fade away to nothing because he's part of the family and happily ever after.
Yeah, good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Good movie.
So I know first something I think you said something about, like, this is a kid's movie. It's all skeletons. Skeletons all the way down.
Yes,
Wait, it's all skeletons?
always has been. Well, but like, and that's kind of the thing is Mexico doesn't have the same relationship with skeletons that we do. Like, skeletons aren't scary. They're your ancestors' bones. They're your
Yes.
family members.
It is just interesting because this movie is I don't remember the order of all the Pixar movies, but this is one of their weirder ones for sure, like concept wise.
Yep.
And everything that's going on in this movie is kind of complicated for a kid because our kid watched it, and our kid is very little.
Oh yeah.
And had a lot of questions
a
about
ton of questions.
one question that immediately came up was, why does that skeleton got hair?
Okay.
I was like, okay. That's fine. I don't think that's integral to the plot.
No, but it's a good question.
We were talking before, he can move his hair around. So it's kind of like a wig.
Which I'd also
Yes,
forgotten about.
But it is
yeah.
his hair.
Yes. But like it's complicated too with like not only like who is this in relation to the main character, because it's his great grandfather, which is like far down a line for a kid to think about, you know what I mean? And then like
to a level where I don't even think we have a good awareness of who that person is. Like, who's your great grandfather? Like, I know my grandparents. I know that they had parents.
I know one thing that confuses my kid, which I think it's a cultural thing, is that it's all mama and papa is just like senior.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Patriarch, matriarch in my family. It's not my mom and my dad, because it's Mama Coco, Mama Imelda. It's this is a like someone above me kind of thing. It's not like my mom and dad.
Yeah. I guess maybe attacking a big picture before going too deep into the plot. I love the structure of this movie. I think it's the last pretty much perfectly executed Pixar movie as of now. I think the ones they've made since then have had a lot of interesting ideas, but aren't as neatly, sanded off any rough edge of like, narrative dissonance or whatever. Like I liked Soul a lot, but there's a sort of a lot of overlapping ideas happening.
So yes,
that don't always necessarily fit together perfectly. But I think Coco is just the execution, the concept of everything that's happening. I think it looks great before it gets to the Land of the Dead, and I think the Land of the Dead is the best executed, like best looking area that the characters are hanging out in a Pixar movie since like I don't know when you'd put on
it
it.
Looks great.
Yeah,
it's so colorful. I love all the orange from the flowers.
Yeah, the flower bridge and stuff. And and the thing is, I mean, I guess they're working at something of an advantage because this is taking from real life folklore, but they still have to execute it, and it just looks incredible. And is tight as hell, I feel like, as a movie too. No loose ends. It's just perfect.
Before you enter it too, since this is the first,
the Frida Kahlo stuff's a little strange.
I love the Frida Kahlo stuff. Love it.
I love it too, but it's just kind of like they were like, should we just like have Frida Kahlo be a character in this movie?
Yes.
And they're like, yeah, okay, kids will love that.
Kids will love that.
Why did I know that name?
She's an extremely famous artist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is she still alive?
No.
Okay.
So she was famous for what? She painted a lot of pictures of herself, and she very prominently displayed her unibrow in all her pictures. And then her paintings were usually kind of weird and had a lot of animals in them. And that's why in the thing, it's like all the costumes of her, they have like a very prominent. And in the scene too, where she's like, it's a cactus, but it's me. And then there's this, and it's also me. And then like when they do the little act in the end too, I don't know if you notice, but a giant like prop unibrow comes down from the sky.
There was a couple of jokes in it. There was like a plane flying around with a joke on it that I was like, I don't know if I get that or no. Nope, I'm mixing things up. Never mind. I think that was a Futurama bit.
No worries.
Close enough.
No worries. But
yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that bothers me about this movie is that I cannot really remember the way I felt the first time I watched this movie. When did you figure out what was going on with the grandfather, Robbie? Do you know?
Oh, as far as who was the actual grandfather?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like this is a really good twist in this movie.
It is a pretty good twist.
It's a really good twist. So
I didn't figure out for a while because they really got me with that stupid bell thing in the beginning. Because you assume what the twist is going to be is something to do with a curse, or like there actually is a curse or something, because that Belle just took him out and he was saying like, remember me and all this other stuff. So like, it seemed like he knew he was about to be, but whatever. So, I want to say it was right when he was getting kicked out to like the discovery of the poison. It was
that he was a murderer.
It was right up at that point, and I was like, oh, okay.
So I was the only thing I do remember is being suspicious the whole time that Ernesto was not going to be like how Miguel wanted him to be. But that's it. I was just like, oh, there's no way like he's going to meet Ernesto and it's going to be like, so I knew that, but I think that was like.
Yeah, I think that's how I was the first time I watched the movie too. And I think that's because Pixar kind of has established a pattern of like, you're not going to get exactly what you want. So like, I knew from the beginning, like, oh, Ernesto's not going to be.
Yeah, what you want
thinks.
isn't actually what you want.
Yeah.
That's a big theme always for them now.
Yeah, I really, because like I was wondering how they were gonna do, because it's never cut and dry, like you said, where it's gonna be like, oh, obviously music is, not bad or whatever, but I really thought there was a curse involved or something. They did a good job with like the misdirection there, because they said that too. They said a couple times like music is a curse, and that's really like, I feel like they laid a couple of like meaty breadcrumbs, and then
Interesting. Yeah, I think it does a great job, and we'll get to talk about this more, but I was talking about the structure before. I think this is this the last actual villain in a Pixar movie as of now also? Because they've kind of gone, we talked about this in the Encanto episode, even though that's not a Pixar movie, but Disney and Pixar are largely villainless now.
Yeah.
Because what's the next Pixar movie?
You'd think that's the kind of thing I'd have pulled up.
Onward is 2020.
Wait, what movie?
Onward is 2020.
That's not what I thought that movie was called.
What?
They call it Dad Pants?
Oh, Dad Pants.
Yeah.
The Dad Man's movie.
And that one is like
Dad Pants.
post that, like villains.
Yeah.
Inside Out was
in
we said
Encanto, the villain is the conquistadors, but
that's
it's not Pixar.
also, is this
Get out.
is this the start of
that's
the?
not Pixar either.
And I know this one doesn't quite fit, but I feel like this is the start. This is the father or mother of the tell us sorry please now. Like,
I'm so stupid. Incredibles 2 is the movie after this, which very explicitly has a villain.
Yeah.
Toy Story 4, which kind of does, but then they're cool and there's so much going on in that movie. But so yeah. Coco, Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, Onward, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, Lightyear.
okay. I was gonna say I think Onward is one where it's like
I don't really count Lightyear either. So I don't know.
I didn't watch Lightyear. Heard there was like a gay kiss in it, and everybody lost their mind though.
That's what
Yeah.
it.
Not in my America.
No, boycott.
That was another thing the theaters put a sign out about.
Yeah, I can't stand to see gay people kissing when I'm not kissing gay people.
That's why everyone hated Rise of Skywalker so much, right? Because those two women blurry in the background kiss. For
Oh my God,
Lightyear
I
kind of
forgot
was
about
too,
that.
to be honest.
Yeah, every single time, like Beauty and the Beast, I think the same way. They were like, "There's a gay character in it." I'm like, I'm pretty sure they allude to his sexuality.
Is he
It's
gay
not
or is he
even,
just
like,
having a good time?
Yeah, like I don't even think they really.
Because that's kind of what Disney's like. Oh, it's our first gay character. It's like he just seems like he's kind of happy.
Yeah, he's just a regular guy.
He's just a regular guy, but he wiggles his eyebrows at other men.
Like, yeah, I feel like you really have to like focus and try to find it too. And you're like, no, look, there it was. Like even it's incredible to think of like boycotting it.
Yeah,
Man, it's hard enough to even see it the first.
for real. But no one boycotted Coco, at least not that I'm aware of.
Yeah, I was surprised because I feel like anytime there's a movie about somebody that's not white, there is some.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's it. This is like one of the earlier movies that are made like a kids movie where it's like very cultural and not like white American.
Yes.
I did read that they specifically made sure it was an all Latino cast because they were like, "Oh, we've messed this up before."
Except for, as every Pixar movie must have, John Ratzenberger does do briefly a voice. He's the guy with the teeth on the Ofrenda. That like on his dentist's Ofrenda. Yeah.
I'm on my dentist's Ofrenda. Why? Oh, because you gave him. Yeah, a lot of money.
Yeah. But yeah, besides that, we mentioned Ernesto's. That's Benjamin Bratt's doing the voice, and then Gael García Bernal is Hector. Those are the main.
One
people.
thing that I feel like looking back on that, I was like, this should have been a big hint. Is like Hector can't. He plays way too big of a role to just be. This is a random guy that is unrelated to anything. Random man.
Yeah.
Helping this
I
child.
should mention Anthony Gonzalez is the kid also, just to make sure he's included. Random man.
Right? Like, why would it be random man? Like, looking back on it?
I guess I've watched too many 90s movies. I feel like that was a thing that just happened. There would just be like a random dude that like helped out the children in the movie, but
Yeah.
that's a message we've moved away from.
I guess, and if there is one part of the movie that is maybe a little too convenient, but who cares? And it's not something I think about in the moment, but only looking back now, I guess it is pretty coincidental that he happens to overhear Hector in the exact right location talking about how he can get into Ernesto de la Cruz's party.
Dante drags him there.
The dog.
Never mind.
Uh-huh.
The spirit guide. Yeah. Okay. Well, still, that's, I mean, almost a literal Deus Ex Machina guiding the plot of the movie by pulling Miguel to different places.
Yeah.
A thing that I love in this movie, but I'm just saying if you wanted to really split hairs, I guess that's what you'd be like, oh, that's cheating.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's cheating. I think it's pretty neat. And plus the whole Dante thing is good.
It's really good.
It's
really
just good.
Yeah.
Yes.
You have to think about it.
But yeah, I feel like
You're out on Dante.
No.
Hates Dante.
So I love I hated Dante.
That's
Just
the thesis of the night.
put it on a shirt. This guy hates Dante. Yeah, great.
hates all dogs.
Hates all dogs.
You got a dartboard with his stupid face in the center of it. You've been throwing
Halloween's Queensy.
Well played.
He's the spirit guide, but he's also a real dog. Did he go back to the real world with him afterwards? Like, is he just trapped in?
This is answered.
Is it?
Yeah. Him and the other Alebrije cross over the bridge.
And it's
on
just a cat
on the day of the day, and they're
too,
regular animals when they cross over for the one night.
Yeah. Where were you?
I don't know. They don't explain like why was he not in.
You know what? In Robbie's defense, that's the scene after he sings "Remember Me" to Coco. You couldn't see. You're crying too
That's
hard.
true.
You weren't looking at the screen.
I don't know. I
We'll
feel
get
like
to
this
that.
Wiping your
conversation
damn
is.
eyes.
Yeah, no, I cried like a baby.
I feel like this is getting too close to how did Dante get his powers?
So how did Dante get his power?
I just was worried that the dog was dead, and I didn't want the dog to be dead.
I understand.
That's
Yeah, he and the other Alebrije cross over the flower bridge and
They fly
come
over,
visit.
and then it shows them being regular animals.
Yes, people can pet them,
Yes.
but the skeletons can also pet them.
Mhm.
Yes.
And then like Dante is like in with the family now at
Yes.
the end. Yeah.
I also didn't question it either because I don't really know anything about Alebrije lore, so I wasn't sure if this is just like a established lore. Because it might be. Like, how do
Probably
spirit
is,
animals
yes.
work?
It is
I don't know.
I mean, it is a thing in fiction that dogs can see ghosts. So, and that animals are just more attuned to, and it's anytime your dog like all of a sudden like looks like does a double take and looks into the corner where there's nothing there. You're just like, oh, that's a ghost.
I like that they mix a lot of Spanish words into this movie.
Yeah. It is funny because like when I think about this movie too, and it goes
Spanish
over-
is funny.
Yeah, I think Spanish is funny.
Interesting.
It's a cute little language. No, so like it's very weird because
Very weird.
La
Writing
Dia- La Dia de los Muertos is one of the only words that is in my head that way, and I translate it like the other way around because I learned about it in Spanish class first. That's the
Okay.
first time I learned about it. So whenever somebody talks about the Day of the Dead, my brain goes, "Oh, La Dia de los Muertos," like instead of.
It sounds better anyway.
It sounds better as well. And like it's very funny because I imagine that's how like a Spanish person's entire life is living in the US, but it's just a little small piece of it I get to experience where I'm like, "Oh no, that's wrong. It's supposed to be this way." My brain has to do like the
The
translation.
transposition kind of thing.
It's fun, but
Yeah, and I think conceptually, what an awesome idea for just having a kernel to make your movie around.
It's so like it's such
It's-
a cool idea.
And that's what I said before. I mean, the in real life folklore that they seemingly were respectful of just is so rich already.
Mhm.
Then to layer this story on top of it must have just felt like put on a glove. It's just so good.
Yes. One thing they do really well too is like obviously I knew a little bit about the Day of the Dead because in Spanish class it's always something that gets covered in like middle school and stuff, high school.
Yeah.
But like I didn't know a lot. And I feel like they give you like everything you need to know. Like, oh, here's the ofrenda, your pictures are on it. Like they like, and it feels very natural. The like exposition they give you to just like, okay, here you go. If you don't know this stuff, this is what you need.
Yeah.
You're good.
It's funny as you say it. It feels like schools really only know how to teach things through the lens of capitalism, because we learned like they make sugar skull. Like we learned what you buy for the Day of the
Yes.
Dead. We didn't.
That's a
learn
good point. Yeah.
about what the Day of the Dead is at all. I could tell you like the items associated with it, but like
I knew you bought stuff for your dead relatives.
yeah, exactly. Like that's.
But
Sorry,
like
it's
you,
just
like
a
I
weird
didn't,
thought.
and I don't know if they explain it in the movie, but like obviously you leave the trail of flowers to help them find their way home. Like,
Yep.
and I didn't know that. Just like you can see they have the trails going to the graveyards and stuff to the ofrenda, and then all the offerings are on the ofrenda, and they have like one scene where like one of the skeletons picks up an offering and he has it, and he like puts it in a basket. And I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, they get the stuff.
And you see the guy pick up the alcohol bottle.
That's the one. Yeah, that's what I'm talking
that's
about.
what it is. Yeah.
And then
It's
they
good.
mention it one more time later when Ernesto is, and he has like a ton of shit, and he's like, "Oh, they give me so much stuff."
Yes.
Yeah, he just has like a whole hall, the east wing of his mansion.
Is all
is
his
just
There was a big
offerings.
pile of guitars. I saw.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a big pile. He doesn't need all those guitars. Give him back, Ernesto.
But yeah, they do such a good job, like, because you don't feel like anything is like, okay, we have to take a minute to explain this to you guys. It's just like, I don't know, it's so natural.
It just goes with it. Yeah.
Yep.
Let's get into the plot a little bit. Just to say, I love how the movie starts.
I love it in the little like flags.
Yeah, and it's almost for certain a real word for that, but I don't know either. I feel badly now. Sorry to the listeners, but yeah, that's open. The opening animation that is separate from the in-universe
family.
Yeah, the in-universe animation happens in a lot of movies, especially these movies. Moana, I think, has a similar thing. My mind always goes to Beauty and the Beast, which starts with the stained glass windows.
Yep.
This feels very, reminiscent of that. And I love it. And I also love that it's like, for a while, it's a voiceover. Even after that animation stops and you're seeing Miguel and his family, and eventually it reveals that this is just something that he is unbidden dumping on a guy that is getting his shoe shined.
Yes. Yes. I also like, too, because every time I see him, like, why are they making shoes? But Miguel goes over this. He's like, they could have made anything.
Yeah.
Why is it shoes? And I'm like, I feel you, man. I feel you. I'm wondering the same thing.
Yeah, he's got a big family. The Riveras, they're all shoemakers. That's what they do, and they do not play or listen or allow anyone else to enjoy music,
No music.
in their presence.
The grandma's so funny. I love, too, that the grandma... Miguel mentions like my grandma, runs the house just like Mama Imelda did, like just like her grandma did. And then when you meet Mama Imelda, she is just like that grandma.
Yeah, it's the kind of through lines for all the characters. It's really good. I imagine if you are a young child, it's probably hard to track.
Yes.
To your earlier point.
But I think it's fine because it's colorful, it's bright, it's got
It's
really
so
good, the
colorful.
music slaps.
This is like my favorite colors in any of these movies, I feel like.
That's my first note on here is like, this is an awesome color palette.
Yeah. Even before, so even in what we're talking about now, when he's just in Santa Cecilia, I think.
Yeah.
Santa Cecilia. And it just looks incredible, especially once it's nighttime. All the candlelit graves and such. It looks incredible.
I love that he's dumping this on the guy.
Yeah.
He says something about it too, like, I paid for his shoe shine, not your life story.
Very funny. And then his Abuela, she comes and beats the hell out of this guy with his shoe.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
He's just showing me his guitar. Shame on you.
Is this when we see like the Ernesto de la Cruz statue too?
Yes.
I
Seize your
love the way it
moment.
looks too. Like they do it like it's like got the old
the kind of tarnishing of the
Patina?
copper or whatever.
Yeah.
Or bronze.
They put a lot of
thing,
detail
yeah.
into like the tarnishing on this thing. I was like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yeah, the patina. Yeah,
To show how long ago.
you know art.
And
I got
That's
it.
right.
I
Yeah, you
got
got it. The look of everything. Yeah, it's so tactile, and I do think this is the best Pixar got. And we talked about it on the ladies episode. I don't like the animation style in Turning Red as much as this. I think
this one's probably better.
Yeah, I think it's getting too lifelike. It's gotten too into the uncanny valley for me. Not that the proportions of anyone's body is lifelike, but just like gestures and movements and stuff.
Yeah.
I think it's at its best in Coco. And I think the guitar fingering stuff that they do is pretty incredible.
That's true. Yeah.
Anyway, so he goes back home. You see he's got this whole like other life where he really loves music, and he has a secret loft in a barn where he has a shrine to De La Cruz, and he's watching his movies. And yeah, I just love the whole De La Cruz setup where he's just like this golden age star.
He does everything. He started movies. Yeah. He could fly.
I think I really like this like gradual shift that I don't know exactly when it took place, but I feel like the kids' movies I watched growing up, like he would love De La Cruz, right? And then the spirit would come and they'd say, we've heard how much you love De La Cruz, and here's a magical guitar that gives you all the guitar playing ability you could ever want. And this is like, no, this kid is like squinting and looking at him playing guitar and teaching himself the chords from that. Yeah. And like, that's what he's been doing for years. And that's why he has this guitar playing ability, which is just so incredible. It's just such a better message for kids' movies. I don't know.
This has good messages in this movie.
Yes.
I really like that. I like the little detail in there that showed like, no, this is why this kid knows how to play guitar.
Yeah. And I remember when this was coming out, they were making such a big deal of like, they really, really tried to one-to-one map how the fingering on the guitar was.
It looked accurate. I mean, I don't know how to play that well, but like you could tell like it wasn't random. Like he wasn't just gripping like a...
Yeah, for sure.
For some reason, I remember that one of the trailers for this movie was just that scene of him like in his little hideout watching De La Cruz and like playing guitar.
Okay.
This is when they introduced De La Cruz, right? And we find out he gets crushed by the bell.
Yes.
That might be in the opening voiceover.
Or is that in the opening? I can't remember.
Yeah, I was kind of like skipping forward to him watching the tape, but that all happens too. We didn't really talk about, you did, how it might be a curse to do with bells, but yeah.
Oh yeah.
I love that it's just like such a, he's like, he can fly, and then he's doing the Remember Me, and it's like the full, the huge show version of it. And then he's like, and then he got crushed by a bell. And it's just a very matter of fact.
Yes.
There's a lot of very matter of fact jokes in this.
Yeah.
I love that we get to see him like, that's the first like music song we see is him performing Remember Me.
Yes.
I think Ray mentioned, and I do too, like when you first see him, like, oh, this is a good song. I like this. You know what I mean? When you see him play it.
Yes. That is extremely intentional. The amount of times that you hear Remember Me, and then it gets a little closer each time, but then eventually you hear Hector playing it for Coco, and then ultimately Miguel playing it for Coco, and you see like the original context that is actually it's intended in, and obviously it's most powerful in, at least in the context of this movie.
So is anybody else, I mean, I'm just going to say, is anybody else upset that they ripped off Danny Phantom for this? Because there was like that ghost Ember, and her whole thing was, Ember, you will remember. Ember, always remember me. Sorry, I just rewatched Danny Phantom like a year ago. It's on Paramount Plus. But she was a big ghost boss, and yeah, they got away with it because there's only one motherfucker weird enough to have done that recently. It's this guy. I'm on to you.
I can't believe they got away with using the word remember, apparently.
Oh, man.
Andrew Lloyd Webber on notice.
Yeah.
For Memory from Cats. Yep. Too close.
Yeah. But yeah, I do like the way he sings it too, is he's singing about how you should remember him.
Yes.
Like, remember me.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean?
The context changes
a lot
over time. And that's part of like, it's such a secret weapon. That is it's what it's doing the whole time, right? It's like a sleight of hand thing where they're distracting you with the lights and stuff, and the whole time they're just like building a biological weapon with the other hand.
It's just very effective
to just drop on your house when that scene comes in.
It is, because it does. It's what makes it helps with the impact a lot.
Yeah. The music, because we're kind of in it now. Michael Giacchino has worked on a lot of other stuff. I think we've done others. Scores that he's worked on, does the score, but the songs are Robert Lopez and Kristen Anderson Lopez, a husband-wife duo that have won so many awards. Also, Robert Lopez did Frozen, and he's both the youngest person to EGOT, and he's also the only person. No, he's the youngest person to EGOT. He was the person who did in the shortest amount of time. He won all of the awards within 10 years. And then he's also, I think, the only one to win multiples of each one.
Oh, shit.
And his 2 Oscars are Let It Go and Remember Me. So pretty good shit.
Didn't you say you saw something about the music in this, the songs?
Oh
Good.
yeah. It was like an article about how they specifically wanted to show like a wide range of what Mexican music can be. Like they didn't want to just show like mariachi tunes. Like they wanted to show like how like in depth it can be.
There is mariachi, but there's also, the kind of like big band, like the brass band that he gets onto the funicular, the triple decker funicular with later. Yeah.
There's the songs
The
that
music in
Imelda
this.
sings.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The
Yeah.
sort of, the
Because she sings like
longing
2 different
ballad
ones that are
thing.
both like that.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. The music in this movie is just.
They did the old drinking song, and I really like it's like this really shitty like kind of misogynistic song, but then it ends with like a man, and if I wasn't so ugly, I'd have a chance with her. Like,
Yes, it's a really good
it's
song.
so perfect because it's just like
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like shitting on this girl the whole time.
you're just like, oh wow, this is a really crappy song, and then it gets you right at the end. It's like, oh, actually, it's man, I wish I could get with that.
Yeah.
That we need to clear out some time for that scene because I think that's the best scene in the movie. But we'll get there.
Wow.
I mean, it's so good.
Around this time
It's
too
maybe
is
not,
when they
I don't know.
introduced Coco, which
Yeah.
interesting choice too. That the movie's called Coco.
Yeah.
Yes.
Our daughter tells me constantly that Miguel is Coco.
Cannot accept that.
Cannot accept that he
His
is
name
not
is Miguel.
Because she's like, it's
I mean,
Coco.
It makes sense. You can see
That's
where
fair.
She's
he's
very little though. She's very little. But yeah, I really like when they introduce Coco too, because it introduces the Miguel by him being called the wrong name immediately. Also probably confusing for children. But he's immediately called the wrong name. He's like, that's not my name.
That is probably hard for a
Yes,
kid.
that's right.
Yeah.
And then and you see him like, it's nice too because you see he's like, oh, they telling me it's good to talk to her, so I like talk to her a lot, and it's him like, I run like this and like Luchadora Coco, and he's like got her in a mask.
Dimple, no dimple.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like the time it takes because it is a pretty lengthy movie. They get him to the Day of the Dead, like into the Land of the Dead pretty quickly, and they like. I feel like I know everything about his family before then. Like you really like understand all the characters, the family dynamic, like everything that's going on there. I feel like
Yes. Yeah, you have it locked. You have that stuff cold. It's so good. Around here back, before he gets there, he has the realization that De La Cruz is what he thinks at least his great grandfather after he's at the ofrenda, and then the photo breaks with his.
there's the scene where he says
Dante-
like her favorite one where Dante like lurches for the food and he's like chomping away
That's
at
my
it.
favorite scene.
And he's trying to like pull him off the plate of food.
Yeah.
It's just he goes, Dante, and Dante stops and looks at him and then tries to eat faster. Like it's such a dog thing to do.
Yeah.
It's great.
It really is.
I love it.
It's so good. The picture frame breaks. He sees folded over the edge of that photo that was on the ofrenda, but he couldn't see before, that the figure, the mysterious great-grandfather that he doesn't know, has Ernesto de la Cruz's guitar. So he surmises that it must be Ernesto de la Cruz.
Yes, he has a very unique guitar.
Yep.
A very cool guitar.
Hmm.
Ray pointed out it's a very unique guitar. Like the top is like a skull with a gold tooth,
Yeah.
just like Hector has a gold tooth.
It's really cool.
I did not notice until I watched it this morning.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, it has the same gold tooth that Hector has.
Nice.
Yes, it does.
Uh-huh.
So
And it's a skull, and like Hector is also like a skeleton with a gold tooth.
he didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
He didn't know. He probably was suspicious that he did have a skeleton. Though.
We're all
It feels like
skeletons inside.
Ernesto did know though. Like it feels like somebody told him how the whole afterlife works like ahead of time and like gave him like a roadmap of like this is how you game the system, man.
He had to meet like some old contractors and architects and been like, when I get there, I want the craziest mansion. and you're gonna be dead like 10 to 15 years before me, so you're gonna have time.
Oh, I just meant with like the remembering and all of that. Like he set up the perfect like
he was
I
just
don't know.
so famous though because he was a musician and an
He's
actor.
basically Elvis. I'm sure
could
there
fly.
is an actual Mexican equivalent that they're basing some of this on. Probably not the murder part, but he
Maybe
seems
the
like
murder part.
culturally relevance level
Yes.
Elvis. And it makes you wonder who is his Colonel Tom Parker. Does he have a weird voice? Can he be in the sequel?
Seems like he was his own Colonel Tom Parker.
Well, yeah, kind of.
Once Miguel realizes that he runs out with like his guitar screaming,
Yeah, terrible idea.
I'm gonna be a musician, and then it just like
He's
quick
like
cut.
on the roof.
Yes, on the roof, and it quick cuts to them throwing out all his instruments into a big pile.
Yep. He wants to go perform in the talent show in the plaza, and his grandma breaks his guitar. Really, really nasty stuff here.
Yeah,
no
not like
good.
a cool punk rock way.
Not in a cool punk rock way.
Before this too, they've already told him that he's gonna become a shoemaker, right?
Yes.
Like, that's like a
they
gift.
presented it as such a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, like they gave him a smock, basically like a leather smock, and like,
You're gonna be making shoes every day after school.
and they're all like excited and like proud and like.
Oh man.
Yeah, let the boy live. Come on.
And what does he tell his dad? He's like, but what if I'm not good at it? And he's like, you're a Rivera.
We make shoes.
Make shoes.
So he runs off, and he keeps running, and he gets to the plaza. Doesn't have a guitar. Tries to ask some people. They're like, "Get out of here, kid!" And then he's like, "Obviously, I need to steal the guitar from Ernesto de la
Not
Cruz."
stealing. His grandfather would want to. Two things
Yeah.
too before we go forward. One,
He doesn't want to do it, but he just
Yes.
feels like he doesn't have a choice, and that he would understand.
two things.
The
One,
attendant too kind of is just like, I'll just put you down. You'll find one. Like, I feel like that's kind of like a go ahead and steal it.
yeah, go and steal one. One thing we didn't mention when and I think I noticed like the second time I watched it, you probably didn't notice. When they introduced Dante, Miguel is like running through the town, like touching things, and one of the things he does is he like drums on a table full of Alebrije figurines, and he hits the trash barrel, and Dante rolls out. He's like legit at
Oh,
a table
nice.
just full of Alebrije figurines, and one of them is Imelda's Alebrije. It's like the big centerpiece one.
That's so good.
And he's like on the table. And the other thing too, and it won't apply for you really, Robbie, but at this point, when he decides he's going to steal the guitar, he says something about seizing his moment.
Yes.
And this has been said like 5 times now already. And
Yep.
after watching
and it's engraved on the statue
Yes.
of De La Cruz.
after watching the movie once, the next time, every time I've watched it since, anytime someone says seize my moment, I like cringe almost because I just picture the last time that Ernesto says it, because he says it like super sinister. Something about like seizing his moment. And every time someone says it, I like it hits very different later when you're like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I imagine now, like, even in like his little interview on the TV, Ernesto says something like, he says it in like a role model way, like, you have to seize your moment. But like, rewatching it, that like he uses it as like his like justification
yeah.
for being like cruel and evil. And
It's like how he sleeps at night, basically.
yes.
It's interesting because it's almost like you watch Hollywood like growing a conscience as we get older, because they would tell us stuff like that, like without the additional message of like, oh no, that's being a ruthless motherfucker. They'd just be like, no, you need to seize it and you need to work harder than everyone else, and I deserve this.
Yeah, because you don't realize that at this point, but like they do come back on it. They're like, no, seize, that's not good.
that's not good. That's
don't
not a
do
good
that.
message.
It's not good.
That's not
But
a
it
good
used
message.
to be.
Yeah, and like it does. It
Once
seems
upon
like
a
that
time,
could be
yeah.
the message of the movie at first. Like, oh, the message is going to be like, you gotta
Do it.
You gotta grab it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he takes the guitar. There's a really great visual that I feel like is what they use in all the clips. Like anytime there's a Pixar montage or something, this is the clip they use from Coco. The first time he strums the guitar and the flower petals all like light up and float.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great. And now and my next note is he's a ghost now.
Yeah, he's cursed. He's in the land of the dead.
Yep.
Yes. He's
Stole from
running
the dead
through
on the
people's
day of the dead.
bodies. Then he runs
I
into the
love this too, because
skeletons.
they come in and he's like, I'm sorry. And he like walks through the guy and he's like,
Yeah. And he happens to immediately run into some family members, basically.
Yep.
Dante pulls him. Yeah.
Yep.
He
Every
he
time.
realizes Dante can see him, and he like is trying to chase Dante because Dante can see him, and he runs into his uncle, great uncle, or something.
Yes. Yep. And they do the thing where every time he sees a skeleton, it goes to the photo on the ofrenda.
Yes.
Corresponding to them.
Oh yeah, it was. He runs into Julio, who I think is Coco's husband, Papa Julio.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And he's
that makes
kind of
sense.
like mousy. I'd want to say, you know what I mean? He's like, and it's funny because he's Imelda's son-in-law. So that's why he's like kind of timid. You know what I mean?
the one with the hat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is funny because Coco is his abuela's mom.
Yes.
And it's like she doesn't seem
It
as
skips.
intense.
It skips a generation.
It skips. They mentioned like she takes after Mama Imelda. He says, remember?
Okay.
He says she runs the household just like Mama Imelda. It does skip. Like Coco seems like she was probably chill. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And Miguel's mom seems pretty chill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although is his dad that is
I
Coco's?
assumed it was the dad.
It seems like it's the dad
Yeah.
now that I'm thinking about it, right?
Probably.
Um,
But I mean, Miguel seems like he's a pretty outgoing, headstrong kind of person too. So
yeah, that's true.
Oh yeah, Miguel's the Imelda.
yeah.
It kind of seems like he is.
Oh, for sure. He just went the other way with the music.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I love how on the ofrenda they have like all the shoes that they loved
Yes.
too.
Yeah.
It's a picture with their favorite shoe in front of it. Wingtips like Papa Julio.
Yeah. That's so good. So he's a ghost now, kind of. And he is
entirely dead.
not entirely alive either. So the family is like, Mama Melda will know what to do. So they start marching him over, and it's the flower
Who
bridge and all
can't go
this
over
stuff.
the bridge? She's in a bit of trouble herself.
Yep. Because of Miguel.
Yep.
And
They introduce Hector right here too.
they introduce Hector here. He's trying to get through customs.
Yeah, their first
the
Frida Kahlo
border
reference
agent. Yes,
is him
as Frida
disguised.
Kahlo.
And Miguel's like kind of starstruck too when he sees her.
Yeah.
And they also kind of give you like a really quick, like, this is why the ofrendas are important. Like, we introduce them and now you get to see like,
And
Yes.
Miguel just said like, I don't care if I'm on the stupid ofrenda.
yes.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
they're like, oh, by the way, you
Once
can never
you're
leave
dead.
the land of the dead if you're not on an ofrenda.
And like they specifically do the person like, I'm on my dentist one, because like it doesn't matter who's a friend. You have to be on
you're on
somebody.
someone's, and you get to still exist in the land of the dead if they remember you.
Yes.
Yeah. They haven't quite said that yet, but like
Yes,
we do
you'll
know
find
now
out,
you can't go visit if you're not on a ofrenda.
Yes.
Yeah, we don't know about the final death or the second death or whatever they say it is. So let's talk about how they made the skeletons look in this movie, because it's not standard. There's some like choices being made.
Yeah, because they have like
very angular faces. And
yes, they don't have typical faces. They do the coloration on them too a little bit, so
Yeah.
they're not plain. They have the like decorative thing that you'd see on the sugar skulls.
Yeah, as I said, they went with the Mexican.
yeah. And then
Well, they have also, I don't know, they got eyeballs, they got
I was going to say
hair.
they have eyeballs.
Eyeballs and hair. Yep.
Their faces are like, I don't know, it's not just skulls. They're like, I don't know, like
There's stuff happening.
yeah, like
They're shaped a lot more than
they're
like a skull
shaped,
should
yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Yes.
they don't have like separate jaws. Like it's all together.
But the jaw can't
Yes.
fall off.
Well, it is.
Yes.
It's funny because like you brought up the uncanny valley thing, and as soon as you said that, I was like, I think that was an intentional decision of why the skulls look the way they do to not
Yes.
trigger uncanny valley,
For sure,
because
yeah.
you don't get that like these are dead humans feel. Like you get these are like spirits.
These are
or-
also, this is something else,
Yeah.
kind of. This isn't a dead person.
right.
I like it a lot. I like the way they do the clothes on the skeletons.
Yeah. The clothes are good. The hair I like a lot.
Yep.
The eyes is what is like, I feel like if you're making a movie about skeletons, the eyes are going to be the toughest thing to decide on.
Yes.
And they went with not floating eyeballs, but
Yes.
there's like
There's
a
something
distinct
black.
like charcoal eyelid around the eyeballs.
It's so weird.
It is really weird.
It's really weird. I think it works.
I remember
I think
seeing
it works too.
I saw this like the trailer and the posters for this, and I was like freaked out about this. I was like, "This is some weird shit." Like,
Why
this
do
is
they have eyeballs and
is
black
Kids are gonna
eyelids?
love this.
Yeah.
this is horrible. Like, why is this? A
and
kid's
then you
movie?
had red.
That's true. Love
Yeah.
spooky shit.
If there's no eyelid, then it's just a googly eye. If there's no eyes, then kids are going to be terrified.
Yes.
Which, by the way, side note, it's really funny because I remember like kids that love spooky shit growing up, and I was like, always wondered like, how does that happen? And apparently it's just random, because I would not have guessed like you guys would produce a spooky loving child.
Yeah.
You know, it just happens.
You guys are pretty spooky.
Sure.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it works. I think it helps with like emoting the way they did it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Well, that's the
probably
problem too.
where
Right.
it comes from, is like you need to be able to emote.
Yes.
Because
and you don't have a lot of facial flesh, which you could normally use to help with the emoting. You know, the dimples and like,
Same thing. Like that's why they don't have like a separate jaw, because they need like lips and stuff, because you wouldn't be able to like smile or anything.
Yeah.
You know.
I can't picture how they did it.
I know, it's weird.
I mean, I
noticed it
know
this
they
time
did. I
around.
know I saw expressions.
There's expressions and stuff. But yeah,
they emote really well. I think they did a good job.
and a lot of it is, I mean, the eyes. If you don't have those, it's just so much tougher to convey. And then I think even just down to like, you know, some of them are different shades of skeleton. Because like Ernesto de la Cruz is like ivory,
Yes.
and Hector is like dirty.
Hector's dirty.
He's got dirty bones.
Well, he's just
He's got
dirty.
bones missing, if you notice,
Yeah.
and others that are like wrapped up, that are
Okay.
broken.
Yeah,
He's all fucked up. Yeah,
He's
walks.
limping.
Yeah, he like limps.
This is how skeletons. So that's not how skeletons
He's
work.
exactly the same.
Yeah, he has like the hitch in his gait. Yeah.
But
yes.
we also just see the Alebrijes now. Those
Yep.
get introduced, and he's like all pumped about those.
Yep.
Oh, and I love when Miguel's they're like, you really didn't think we were here, and he's like, I don't know, I just thought this is one of the things adults told kids, like vitamins, and they're like, vitamins are real.
I'm really starting to believe that.
Yeah. It's a good exchange.
It's really good.
And they take him to some bureaucratic office that deals with this kind of thing, apparently.
One thing too that I think is cultural that wouldn't be my quite response is that Miguel immediately is connected to all these people, and like he like likes them. He like you could say he like loves them. Like he treats them as if they are his family, even though these are people that were dead long before he was born.
Yeah.
Yep.
And in both ways.
Yes.
They feel, you know, a lot of warmth through it. They're like
They're
really
hugging
excited
him,
to see him.
excited to see him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he hugs them a couple times throughout the thing. Like, and I think that's probably
That seems like a cultural thing.
If you have this ofrenda
because
to
the
like,
whole thing
yeah.
is like
There
on
is
this
this
day you
connection.
tell everybody
Yeah.
stories and yeah.
yes. Yeah, and they do. They tell him about like this is the shoe Papa Julio like to make.
Yeah, you pass them down and you kind of use it to help guide your decisions that you're gonna make today, so you could feel like they're still part of like the
Yeah,
family and
it's
stuff
very
like
interesting, and I like it because you can really see it in just the
Yeah.
way he acts around them, and they act with him.
It is really good.
that.
So when they go to the customs office, like this whole customs thing, I have a couple of really stupid objections to this movie that
Go on.
like I think them and like this is a stupid thing to be concerned about. But like one of them is I'm always upset about the poor people who have to work on this day. Like the one day a year. that
Why
get
are
to
you-
work.
Sorry, that one guy's like, okay, my shift's ending and I want to go over there.
They do say that. And I'm like, okay, so they covered it, but I still feel bad for them.
Should be like a bank holiday kind of
Yeah,
thing. but
if
I
you
guess-
want to nitpick, why do they have security guards anyway? You can't cross the bridge. Like it's not like they're stopping you. Hector physically cannot cross the bridge.
Because they got to declare what's coming in.
Yeah, they brought in a living child. They weren't like this doesn't seem allowed.
I don't know. So
Yeah.
there's some issues with that. I don't know.
Democracy, you can't
I
get
always
away
get
from even in
concerned
death.
about like
Did
what,
you-
what would happen with these people before photographs existed because that wasn't that long ago.
Yeah,
That
it's
is where he got
literally-
his power.
Literally the generation after or like before,
Imelda.
Right.
Like
Well, Imelda's mom not there, right?
no,
I guess. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's only a couple generations back.
How does Hector have his own photo?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't he?
You had somebody else
There's a
steal it when
lot
they
of
went
things
back.
like that where I'm like, I can't think about this too much. It makes me upset.
Those
he
are
died
so
with a
unimportant.
headshot in his pocket.
Yeah, that is not like the most unreasonable answer.
He could have had somebody go get it for him, I guess, because they can take the copies of stuff, right?
Yeah, I assume that. Yeah, I
Yeah.
assume it's. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you can say like, oh yeah, he had someone steal his photo, but from where?
That's not important.
Yeah. Anyway,
It doesn't
It
matter.
came from somewhere.
I love Imelda destroying the thing with the shoe because
Where'd Hector get his pictures?
yeah, I love Imelda destroying the thing because it's replicating the grandma beating the mariachi with the shoe. It's the same thing. She immediately takes off the shoe and like she's mad. I'm taking off the shoe and beating something with it.
There's
Your
a lot
devil
of, like,
box.
There's a
Devil
lot
box.
of dead kids and dead families in like the customs area
Yeah, I
too,
did
and like
notice
that's
that.
pretty
There
upsetting.
was like
Children.
she's like, oh, don't stare. And I was like, okay, so in this world, if you die as a child, you're perpetually a child. Like you still have to deal with like
think
the
so.
don't stare. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
don't
Like,
you don't think about this
Seems
stuff too
like
much.
it.
it's like,
Yeah,
I
it's
don't like
unclear.
that. I don't like
Because I feel like a lot of his family members seem to be at most like middle-aged.
Well, no,
You
but then you
know?
see Grandma Coco at the end, and she's like a
Yeah.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
She's
is
like the
she the
oldest ghost
only
I've ever
person
seen.
who's ever died of old age?
like, it's just, like you don't even look.
That
You
seems
still don't look
correct.
like you can function. Like everyone else can
It's not
function.
important.
You're just like.
I love when they're talking.
Maybe you get to pick your form.
She just fucking loved that.
I
for
love
you.
being old. I like when they're talking to the custom agent and he's allergic to Dante because he also mentions he's like, I'm allergic to your spirit guide. Is like what he tells him. And he's like, oh, he's not a spirit guide. He's just a dog. Because a lot of people keep mentioning
Yeah.
that this is a spirit guide.
Frida Kahlo.
Frida
says the
Kahlo
same
mentions
thing.
it too. And he's like, although then she does backtrack. She's like, maybe it is just a dog because he's like chewing on his own leg.
That was less of a twist for me. I was pretty confident he was a spirit guide. Like,
Mhm.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when you find out that Imelda can't cross because he has the photo and she's like, put it back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they give him the ultimatum too, right?
yes,
I love that he accepts the ultimatum at first. She holds up the flower. My kid goes, why is she giving him a Dorito? Sends him back. And as soon as he
Still
gets
not a
back,
bad movie if the
Yeah.
it was all Doritos.
it's better. I was like, you're being insensitive to this culture. Those are not Doritos. I love he gets sent back, immediately picks up the guitar.
oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
And then he runs.
You cut back to the bureaucratic office, and they like hadn't even gotten to the door yet. They're like, it's been 2 seconds.
He runs back and he's got like the guitar holding position still, and he's like,
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
Oh man.
And then he's like, I'm gonna go to the bathroom because he's like, well, that's not gonna work. So he runs away, and that's when he becomes like a fugitive.
and he bumps and he gets
Bumps
dragged
into-
over to Hector
Yeah.
by Dante. Yep.
By Dante.
Hears that he knows
Which
it's
is
a
kind of
cruise.
funny because he's like running from these people, like his family, the whole time, and you're like, oh, he can't get caught by the family. But the family's literally just trying to help him.
Well, that's the contention is like,
Yeah.
is
Yes.
that-
Yeah, kind
Yes,
of.
in
are
a-
they trying to help him?
in a they think they know best kind of way.
Right,
Yes.
Yeah.
right.
I'd rather be
But they
dead.
do want him to not die.
They do want
Right,
him not
yeah,
to
they're
die.
trying to make sure he's not dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know. I'll play this game, old lady.
Yeah.
But also too, in like I noticed a couple times it does come up that like Miguel is like a child and he does act like one.
No.
Like when he makes the comment about like, oh, he could fly, and like there's a couple of the vitamins thing. There's
Yeah.
a few things he says, and every now and
Jeez.
then he makes a decision. I'm like, this is a decision only look like a kid would make.
Yes.
Yeah. He's really quick to just like ditch people.
Yes.
Um,
Oh, and when
repeatedly.
he's like he enters the contest because he's like, I'm gonna win. And he's like,
Yes.
Yes. So he overhears Hector saying that he could get someone into the De La Cruz party, and is
Yeah, that he knows De La Cruz.
and he knows De La Cruz. Or actually, he says he can get you to meet De La Cruz because they go to the rehersal because Hector
He
thinks
says
he would be.
I can get you
first.
tickets. I know De La Cruz is what
Oh,
he says or
yes.
something like that.
To the Sunshine Spectacular or whatever.
Yes.
So because at this point Miguel is like, oh, I need a family member's blessing. I'll just go get De La Cruz because he'll obviously want me to be a musician.
Yes.
Hector is like, okay, I'll do it. Gael García Bernal, who does Hector's voice, I think is awesome in this movie. So good.
Yeah, I think the voice action's all really good in this movie.
It's all really good.
I love whoever is voice acting for Miguel. I absolutely love.
Yeah, that guy did a good job.
Mostly in the end, but
Yeah, good point.
yeah, this is too where he does the makeup for him,
Yes.
and I really like that they're like, oh, we'll just make you look like a skeleton.
Yep.
works.
Oh, and you see too now that you can see his fingers,
Yes.
which it, like progresses through the movie that I really like that you can like keep seeing he's more skeleton.
Yeah.
more and more transparent.
Yes.
The stakes are always right there, you know.
Mhm.
And then they meet up with Frida Kahlo because Hector thinks that De La Cruz might be at his own rehearsal, but he doesn't go to rehearsals. But Frida Kahlo's there, and they chill for a bit.
Yep, he meets up with her because Dante drags him there.
Yep. Yes. And she's even like, "Oh, what a smart spirit animal! What have you brought me?"
Yeah.
And then she's like, "Yeah, maybe it's just a dog." But no, first thought was right.
Yeah, I love that she asks Miguel his opinion, and Miguel like tells her like what he thinks of the show, and like tells her like what music to add in and stuff.
Yeah.
You can see that like he like I don't know. Yeah, he's like
She's
he has
"Oh,
a lot of
you have-
musical talent there.
You
Yes.
have the spirit of an artist, or whatever she said.
Yes.
And then this is where the foreshadowing happens that all the other artists there are making fun of Hector and calling him Chorizo.
Chorizo, yeah.
Yeah, because of how he died.
Yes.
Which he apparently told them all. Like that was a self-reported embarrassing death.
Yeah.
Well, he
Well,
reported
you
that
got-
he got food poisoning from bad chorizo.
Yeah.
And they like
Yes.
Chorizo over here.
yeah.
And then they go down to the docks. There's like a kind of a slum of people who aren't on Ofrendas.
Cousins, yeah.
Yeah.
We just all call each other cousin and
Yeah.
brother and whatnot.
It's good. Yeah, it's all about family and connection throughout and stuff. And then there's a pretty incredible scene for a kids movie where they establish what the stakes are for Hector
Yes.
with Edward James Olmos as Chicharron, I think is his name, Cheech. And this is just a really, pretty great scene.
Yes.
Road is it's like the fried pig skins.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
think
know.
so.
It's fun. It's a fun nickname.
Yeah.
I like it.
And Edward James Olmos, his character here, is about to disappear, pretty much.
Yep. I like you said, I love this song. It's so funny.
So funny. There's the line that he like hesitates
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
changes,
These are
and
children.
Cheech is like, "That's not the line." He said, "Children are present,"
Which I'm pretty sure.
and then you can think of in context what it was, and yeah, it wouldn't have been that appropriate for Miguel.
I'm sure that's probably like a real song too. Like that's just
I
like
bet,
a fairly popular like drinking song or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. It seems
maybe
like
not
it. If not,
popular.
it's
I'm thinking of like Jaws, like the "Show Me the Way to Go Home."
This is
like,
where we
like
find
this-
out that
this
Hector's a musician too. We didn't
Yeah.
know that
Yes.
yet.
Oh yeah.
he's quite good too.
He's yeah.
Oh, and he says, "I don't play anymore,"
And he doesn't play anymore. Yeah.
which is really funny. I wonder if he knew the rest of the family wasn't allowed to like deal with music anymore.
Oh, that's just funny.
You know, because like
well, yeah, because they do mention that he's gone to Imelda.
okay,
Like,
Okay.
because she says something like, "How many times do I tell you to stay away?" kind of thing. I assumed it was just because he also blames music for
what happened?
what happened. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So this bit where Chicharron is disappearing is like kind of a flooring thing to put in a movie.
Especially a kids movie.
For
By the
kids,
way,
yeah.
kids, this final death.
there's super
The
death.
ultimate death.
Also, somebody somewhere is very upset because I think a femur that could have been structurally supporting something has disappeared. Because like he had a pipe, which also
Yes.
disappeared. So I guess final death can take.
I love too because that. So we learn that you disappear forever. We don't know where you go.
Yeah.
No one knows.
No one
No
knows.
one knows.
And I love that he like
Yeah.
tells him like, "I know him though. I can remember him." And he's like, "No, it doesn't. You know,
It doesn't work that
you
way,
got to
kid."
pass down those stories and like
Yeah.
tell tales about us from life and things like that." And I was like, "Oh, you know, I don't know. It's just
The stories have to be passed down from people that remember you when you were alive.
Yeah.
Which is, it's funny because like I saw a meme like about this concept a while back, and it was like, what if like you're alive in the afterlife for as long as people on Earth can remember you, and they're like, you know, you've been dead for 6,000 years, and then all of a sudden you hear your name and people remember that you made really shitty copper, and it's just the EA Nasir guy where we found the customer complaint from 6,000 years ago. It's like, imagine if that's how that worked. Like you're just dead and then you come back. But I like how they connected it. Like
Yeah,
that
that's
can't
right.
happen because
Yeah.
it has to.
And it's just such a touching scene, like the tenderness between Hector and Cheech.
yeah, that because they kind of show like he's made his own family now. He has These are his family.
Well, and now like my mind went to like, so does he get to stay alive in the second death as long as people in the first death
I know
remember him?
they opened up such a can of worms with that.
It's deaths all the way down.
How many-
That's the other thing that bothers me about this movie. I'm like, oh great, okay, so now there's another death. Like nobody knows what happens in that one. So
I'm so excited to die. I want to do it twice.
Yeah. It's just, you know, the two shot glasses that it shows as the scene's ending. It's just, I don't know.
It's a good scene.
It's probably one of those things like, didn't know there'd be this much death if you're like a parent taking your kid to the movie. And you're like, oh, Coco, it's fun music.
It's fun music.
It's called
it is-
Coco. It's got to be light, right?
It is fun to watch as like a single adult without strong connections to their family because I'm like, oh look, I get to hang out with these losers when I die.
Yeah. But yeah, and we were talking about memory, and it's like so obvious why I even mention it. But hey, it's a podcast. So yeah, I mean the whole through line being remember me and memory, and it's just coming back. And you know who remembers you.
And yeah, now they head over to the contest.
They do the battle of the bands.
We see too that his family's tracking him with the. They see the shoe and it's like it's a Rivera shoe, size 7.5. And they're using the spirit guide to like track him, so we know they're after him.
Yep. And they can hear him, but they don't recognize him because they all hate music, which I thought was kind of funny because they were like right there and like he's literally singing.
Yeah.
Yep. He thinks like, oh, of course I'll do Remember Me, and then Hector's like, everyone's gonna do Remember Me.
Yes. At this point too, he mentioned that he's played with. He told him I taught him everything he knows. And
it sounds like the kind of thing that like a kind of scamp
like
would
a
say.
Hector would say.
Yeah, and you don't realize at this point that it is legit. Like that is the case. And he's like, he kind of criticized that he's not that good, and like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. And it's all right there.
Yep. They're trying to tell you.
So they do Un Poco Loco.
Fucking love this song.
Great song.
It's so good.
Great song. Good performance. Not great mic technique. He's spinning around. He's not taking the mic with him. It's whatever. But, you know, it's the land of the dead. I love that, like, there's microphones here at the Sunrise concert later. There's, like, broadcast TV cameras. I love how, like, I guess grounded some of the technology in the land of the dead is.
It's interesting.
Considering there's, like, flying cats everywhere. Anyway.
Yes.
But, yeah, this scene's great. And Poco Loco, good song.
Love it. I absolutely love like one of my favorite exchanges is when he's telling him that he's never played before. And he's like, you've never played before? He's like, I have to go then. And he's like, no, like he's like, I don't want De La Cruz's blessing. I want to like, no, I earned it. And he's like, that is such a great sentiment at such a bad time.
Yeah, I wrote that down. Such a sweet sentiment at such a bad time. It's so perfect.
It's so good. It's so
good.
good.
And again, Bernal delivers that line really well.
It was a nice, like, different style of music too. Like, again, talking about the different, like, that's completely unique
from the others. Yep, I really like that too. That they all do sound so different.
And right after the performance, he gets mad at Hector and runs away.
Yeah, because Hector's
well,
kind of
Hector's
mean
also
too.
mad at him.
Yeah.
Yes.
He's like, I'm not gonna last the night, and you could have went home and brought my picture. But why? What does he owe Hector? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and then Hector kind of immediately is like, hey, sorry. But he already can't find him.
Yes.
And also, but like Hector's like, why are you running from your family? Like, why does it have to be, you know, like he doesn't also doesn't know what's going on.
He also, thinks that like they don't want to, because I think he says like they don't want me to play music anymore. He's like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Right. Because he doesn't care about the music. It's funny. I wonder what would have happened if Hector had realized earlier that the family was his family.
That's a good question. But yeah, so this, as he runs, this is when he bumps into Imelda too, and she like sings and is like, I love music.
Yes.
But like it's ruined. Like it's,
Yeah.
I had to pick. Like I didn't get to, and like she kind of explains her side of it. You know what I mean? Where she was like, I had to stay and take care of the family. Like he left.
I really would like somebody to have had a conversation with her of like, you know, you can still listen to music though, right?
You don't have to accost people on the street who enjoy music.
Yeah, like there was a lot of different levels of this, and you went to 10 immediately.
Yeah.
She beats things with her shoes, dude.
Yeah.
10 for her is like, she's like, I'm only at a 3 here.
Yeah.
I could have went so much further.
That's fair. Nobody's bleeding.
You could have killed every musician.
So Miguel gets to the mansion. I love there's a bit before he gets there where the bouncer wants to take a picture with a luchador. And so the selfie thing is he hands the guy his skull and like takes a picture as the guy's holding his skull.
Yes, it's really good.
That's just well done.
Yes, it is.
I love that there's like I said, the funicular, the metro, whatever, that's the train that they take up is like a triple decker, like golden looking thing. It's so cool.
It is, yep.
And he sees the band that actually won the Battle of the Bands, and he's like, musician, can you guys sneak me in? And they do.
Yeah, in the tuba, right?
In the tuba. Meanwhile, we don't quite know yet, but Hector's also on his way once again in disguise as Frida Kahlo.
Yes, when they're like Frida, yes. Constantly dressing up as Frida Kahlo.
So Miguel,
somebody like got such a kick out of that joke. Somebody on staff like was dying every time it came up. Like I'm glad. I'm sure they appreciated the hell out of it. It just was not for me. I don't think.
It's just weird that they picked like such a famous real person.
That's like I can tell
to just be a character in this movie.
Well, that's like
it's kind of like ingrained in Mexican culture, so I think that was
for sure. Yeah, but it is like.
That's fair. If I bet you like people from Mexican culture got a much bigger kick out of it.
I think what helps is in order for those bits to work, he's got to be someone very famous. So in order to make another De La Cruz character, they have to establish that. Whereas if they're just like, everyone knows Frida Kahlo, super famous, bam, you're done.
Earlier when we were talking about the Alebrijes, I tried to look it up quick, and it said something in the Wikipedia article about how Frida Kahlo like kind of spread the like idea of it.
There you go.
She like grabbed onto it, and
well, that makes sense.
Yeah. So that's one thing I always think of is like even from that first scene where he's like saying like, "Oh, you don't need to scan me. I'm Frida Kahlo. You know what I mean? I'm on A Million a Friend is." Like in order for something like that to work, like you'd have to establish another super famous character, and it just takes time. Whereas you can just use a real one.
So Miguel is at the party. He can't really get De La Cruz's attention. He decides to give his like barbaric yawp, and then plays guitar.
Another great song.
Yeah, it is a good song.
It's what is it? It's another thing about the music is his family.
Yeah,
which is funny because like we think this is the guy who ditched his family to
the music is my language and the world is my family.
Oh, that's
yeah.
what it is. Yeah. It's something like that.
The world is me familia.
Have a family.
Yeah.
Much like Vin Diesel, it's all about me familia.
Ernesto keeps saying that too, right? Me familia.
Family.
It's me familia.
Salute me familia. Yeah.
I'll give you my blessing as long as you go back and steal 50 cars.
Opening this weekend, Fast X.
Oh, jeez.
Which I think on the red carpet, Vin Diesel's like, yeah, we're making 2 more after this. People are like, what?
No, you promised us.
Yeah,
you can't do that.
We're going to make 2 more.
You told us this was over.
They're done already.
Family. Apparently it's real bad. But anyway, I guess Jason Momoa is good in it. I will see it. I'll report back.
Got Momoa involved in this shenanigan?
Yeah, he's the villain in this one, which means he'll be the best friend in the next one.
Hell yeah.
And John Cena, villain in the last one, part of the team now.
Awesome.
Statham, villain in what? He's the guy who kills Han, but it's cool. Han's not dead. Statham's part of the crew.
Wait, Han's not dead?
No.
He's part of the family.
He died in like the second one.
Third one, but he's part of family. So family never dies.
It's like a Force ghost.
Falls in the pool.
No, it turns out it was a funny joke or something.
They go rescue him.
Kurt Russell was involved. Who knows?
Oh man.
Yeah, Japan.
Falls in the pool.
I think
falls in the pool. His makeup comes off. This is Miguel, not Han. And
Cruz jumps in and saves him.
Yeah, and then he's like,
First
you're
watch,
the boy. And everyone's just like,
De La
we're cool with
Cruz,
it here, though.
Kind of hero-y.
Yeah, he seems like a decent dude.
Saves the kid.
Yeah.
On rewatch, I'm like, this is him like being like, I'm going to look so good when I jump in this pool to
Yes,
save this kid.
this is a guy who is projecting his own image all over the party.
Yeah.
Not just one screen, but the walls are covered in clips of
You
him.
wouldn't even be able to pay attention to any of the movies because all his different movies are playing at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes. And
Can't watch that.
No.
So it's like a moment of seemingly too easy wrap up, considering we're only about an hour into the movie, where De La Cruz is like, dope. And then they have like a cool, chill night together. They're singing songs. They're eating food. They're having a great
Loves
time.
them.
Well,
Right
and
off the
so
bat.
actually, this is where I got suspicious because I was like,
He's surprised that he has a great grandson right off the bat.
well, that, and I was suspicious because like the whole time the montage is going on, I'm getting anxious instead of warm and fuzzy because I'm like, he needs to get home before he's a skeleton, and an adult that is concerned with the child should be like, that should be their number one. Is like, he hasn't even asked him yet of like, hey, shouldn't we get you home by like is this okay? Are you fine?
You know what?
Like,
Now that you say that, I thought the same thing the first time I watched it.
I was just like, there's a lot wrong here because he's too chill about this whole event. And I guess you can write it off as like he wasn't a parent and was surprised that he, like you were saying. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not a parent and I had those immediate of like,
he's evil.
He's evil.
Yeah,
He's
he's
just not a good person.
self-interested.
But like, if you had
It's
left,
Miguel that brings it up eventually.
Yeah.
if you had abandoned your family, like you shouldn't be that surprised that you have
A family.
a
That's
family
true.
out there. You know what I mean?
That's true.
It's another hint, I think, that like this
For
is
sure.
probably not the great grandfather.
right.
But he's just like, oh, look good here. If I'm just like,
Yep.
look, everybody check
And,
this
like,
guy out.
From in the movie's defense too, or like not even defense because you're not, but like he's not gonna ask a 6-year-old. Well, like, wait, who's your mom? Because like I didn't like who did I knock up to have this kid? You know what I mean? Because like he's just thinking he probably like had a groupie that he knocked up.
Yes,
And this
but
is-
if it's really his great grandfather, we shouldn't be thinking that he's thinking that. You know what I mean?
right.
For sure, yeah.
He should know that he.
So
Is Imelda's
Kid.
line.
yeah, so he's like, oh, you got to come to the Sunrise concert. And Miguel's like, actually, I need to not be here
I need to not die.
at
Yeah.
sunrise. And he's like, oh, okay. So he starts giving him his blessing, but then, but then Hector bursts in the door.
Well, that's and the Dorito
Freedom.
didn't start to light up, and that was like
Right.
Mhm.
Also,
You
it
can't
wasn't.
give him a blessing. Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. So Hector jumps in and again dressed as Frida Kahlo. And then they confront each other, and then you have the flashback after he mentions that, like, something about the world. And Miguel's like, oh, that's a line from the movie. And they're like, what?
Heaven and earth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I move heaven and earth for you. Yeah.
Yes.
And then
You can do
there's a
that
flash.
now.
And
Yeah.
I mean Hector, kind of an idiot, huh? Like, oh, maybe I did get poisoned by my friend there.
Who's like my best friend poisoned me instead of like I died of
Food poisoning.
food
yeah.
poisoning or something.
Yes.
And apparently the last thing he heard was, must have been that chorizo you ate.
Yeah.
Or chorizo was Spanish, right?
Mm.
Yeah, so this is a moment where it's pretty clear that De La Cruz is a murderer.
Yes. And I
Bold-
love
bold choice for a kids movie.
bold
Again,
choice.
yes.
Yeah, they drag Hector away.
And then De La Cruz is like trying to judge Miguel. He's like, we're cool, right? And he's like, yeah, I don't think you murdered Hector to steal
Oh
his
my
songs.
God, this
Yeah, you're the-
6-year-old playing cool.
You're the good guy. Everybody knows you're the
Like, you're
good guy.
giving it away.
Then De La Cruz seizes his moment because no one sees his moments quite like
I'm your family or something, he says. And he's like, and Hector's my best friend.
yeah. Yep.
Fucked up.
It's
This guy
great.
sees his moment.
Yeah, he gets dropped in the hole.
Thrown in a big hole. My next bullet point, in the hole.
Why do you even have this hole?
Yeah, it's a sinkhole.
Yeah. Next bullet point, in the hole, sub bullet. I like the translucent effect on his hands. Hands is just bones with skin gloves.
Oh no! What time were you watching this movie?
Pretty late.
Hands is just boots with skin gloves. All right. Yeah.
But this is where you're really seeing that it's just bones with.
This is where I'm
skin
getting
gloves.
awarded.
Yeah.
Hector's dying.
Yeah, and I mean they've already introduced murder into this kids movie, so child murder's not that far of a leap.
No.
Maybe he's
Hector's
just dead
dying.
forever.
Yeah.
Miguel might be dying in like an hour or two, but they realize they're related.
I really like this.
Yeah, like Hector's not even gonna regular die; he's about to super die, which is
Yep.
huge stakes for a kids movie.
I love
Yeah.
that he.
They realize because he's talking about like, oh, I just wanted to see my daughter again. I used to sing her "Remember Me," and they're showing like that bit with the little girl, and then he's like, Coco, and he's like, wait, who?
Yeah.
This is the only person in Mexico named Coco.
Yes.
We are related.
Fair.
Yep. And then he takes up things like, this is like my mama Imelda and my mama Coco. Is this you?
He's like, yeah.
That is me with my face ripped off the picture. I do like how Imelda too was like, I didn't want you to disappear forever. I just didn't want anybody to remember who you were. Okay, well,
Yeah.
It's a little bit of dissonance there, Imelda. I don't know what
Well, she didn't know she didn't know the rules of
She
death.
didn't know
at the
about
time.
final death.
Yeah, no one told her. Dante becomes an Alabrije form on the way back.
I love.
Well, so we should say Mom Imelda pulls with her Alabrije, pulls them out of the hole.
Yep, she's
they're
immediately
flying
mad to
back,
see
yeah.
Hector.
Yes.
And that's when she's like, I keep telling you to, like, you know what I mean? They reveal it, like, he has tried to, like, patch things up in the afterlife, and it has not been successful.
Yeah.
No, seems like the Imelda's a little stubborn.
Yeah, just a little bit. But yeah, Dante goes Alabrije mode, and it's cool. He's all colors, and his tongue is still stupid, and it's like wrapped around his head, but it's still good.
Yep.
Yeah, they got that face design nailed down with Sid from Ice Age, and they were just like,
Yeah. The family and Hector don't quite reconcile, but they agree that they should help Miguel altogether.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Miguel gives the little speech about how, like, he's family. We have to help him. Like, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter what he's done. He's still our family. Like, he should be on the ofrenda.
Really good. Then the sunrise spectacular happens. You see all the Fritas running around, coming out of the papaya. It's on fire.
Yes. The cactus is her.
Yeah, Gag is also
The big unibrow comes down.
Yep. And then backstage, some of those Frida Kahlos were the family members.
And all the audience is just like shocked, like they don't know what to make of what's happening on stage.
They're all just like, what is happening?
Yep. And then there's a kind of brief, but still there's a lot going on in it. There's a fight scene between
Yes.
all of the family members and some security guards as they're wrestling over the photo of Hector.
Yes.
Yes, because he won't go back until he gets the photo. Because they could have just given him the blessing then.
Yes, but then Hector
but he
dies.
needs the photo, so that's why they go to try and take it back from De La Cruz, who stole it earlier,
Yes.
which we didn't say yet.
And then when Imelda gets it, the stage lifts her up.
Yep.
And I love this part.
Yeah, she does a number as a
Yeah.
fun song, and then De La Cruz comes out, and they're like kind of duetting, kind of fighting.
I love this. The whole time when she's singing and like the security guards are trying to like get her and she's like dancing around them and
Yeah.
singing and stuff.
It's
and,
good.
Like, and then De La Cruz they're fighting while they're like singing. I don't know. I love it.
Yep. And she like stomps on his foot to steal the photo, and they run backstage, and
Yeah, they show the scene like he's gonna go home. They give him the photo. They're like, "You're going home."
no conditions.
No
on
conditions.
this blessing.
Nice little bow right on the story. You know what I mean? They give him
Yeah.
the flower, and then De La Cruz snatches him up before he can get it.
Yep. And he throws him off the balcony.
I love.
But
he
not
does his-
before one of his aunts turns the camera to
Yes,
point
and he
at
gives
him.
his very villainous monologue kind of thing about like.
Yep.
can't help
Well, he's
it.
a villain.
Yeah, and this is really where he's talking about like where the impact of the seizing the moment comes. He says like, "I'll do what it takes to seize my moment," and he just fucking like, "I'll just kill you right now."
I'll watch 1,000 children die before I let this company burn.
So then he goes back out on stage. The crowd was watching via the camera everything that happened in the back. So they turn on him. The Alabrije
Get
comes,
him.
Saves Miguel.
saves saves
He
Miguel.
loses the photo.
Lee loses the photo.
Yeah,
Very understanding crowd.
they're like, "This sounds right."
Yeah, this tracks. This tracks.
And I always wondered that, but in the crowd's defense, like there's like the whole thing, like with this whole concept is very spiritual, right?
Yeah.
If a living person shows up, I feel like you're like, this person is like, they have a purpose here. You know what I mean? It's not like people don't just show up.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I feel like if
You're not supposed to throw him off a balcony, you don't think?
I don't think so.
They wouldn't take kindly to that?
I don't think so. So I'd immediately be like, yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? It tracks.
Yep. And then the Alabrije comes and throws him into a bell, and he experiences a second death, perhaps. Unclear what,
More death in this movie. I don't know if you heard when our kid was watching it today and he got crushed by the bell. She went, he's forever dead now.
It's
All
tough.
right.
It's tough to know because there's moments earlier when like Hector jumps off of like the boardwalk and his bones go completely apart, and then he just pulls himself back together.
Julio immediately gets blown up in the beginning.
Yeah, so I'm not sure what like blunt trauma does.
I imagine he's not dead. I imagine he's just trapped under the bell.
No, he's gonna be remembered for a long time too. So
yeah,
as that guy that stole the song.
Yeah, I'm interested. I wonder how that dynamic works. Like if you're infamous, you know.
I mean, people still remember you, I guess.
Yeah. Yep. So
great scene.
You go
Hector's
live in that
dying.
slum.
Imelda's like with him, offering the flower, and you watch.
They give a blessing as time's running out.
Yeah, Miguel turns like almost full skeleton. He's like almost completely transparent, and he's like crying about how he can't go back. And they're like, "Yeah, you gotta go back." Like, Hector gives him some of this. Is like, "No, that's okay. Like, just tell her. You know, that's all I wanted anyway. Was for her to know. Just tell her."
Like, but now I have to go back with the horrible knowledge that second death exists and it happened to you.
Yep. So
this is the point when this movie's on where I am falling apart. As soon as he's like they're sending him back, and he's like, I can't go back.
So he's back in Santa Cecilia, and he's making a desperate final sprint to try and get.
Yeah,
he's got the guitar. He's trying to get back to Coco before time runs out for Hector. And his family members see him, and they start like running after him. And he briefly is able to barricade himself in with Coco.
And he's like,
but she's kind of gone.
Yeah,
sorta.
he's pleading like, remember your dad, and this is his guitar, and like blah blah blah. And she's just like totally staring at the wall.
Yeah.
Yep. And then his grandma comes in and is like, apologize to her. You're being weird.
Oh, and no, this is when he his dad goes to yell at him, and he starts crying, and his dad's like, it's okay. He's like, we're all here now. And he's like, not all of us.
Yeah, he does say that.
It's
brutal.
awful.
And then instead of apologizing, he's like, maybe I'll do this one thing. And yeah.
It's just funny because it makes you wonder, like, I know it's like a made up story and all of that, but like what would the parents have said if he had tried to communicate like, no, I talked to my relatives in the land of the dead, and if she can't remember her dad, her great grandfather, he's gonna disappear
Depends
forever.
on how culturally, I think it's like a big, like they seem like it's a big thing, you know what I mean? So who knows, maybe.
Yeah, it's sort of leavened in there, right? But I think he's successfully makes that point.
Yeah,
in fewer words by just playing the song.
He does.
The end version, remember me, it's way better than De La Cruz's version of it.
I thought you were meaning like the end credits version, which is kind of like the pop remix.
No, the version that Hector and Miguel sing.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Way better.
So yeah, he plays "Remember Me." It is one of the iconic tearjerker Pixar moments.
Oh, it's so it's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you got everybody again. It always gets.
It's a rough scene.
Yeah,
it's so
good.
Oh my god.
I don't know if it was us that were talking about it, but like someone was like, "It's not sad. She's not like dying in that moment or anything." It's like, how can you not be sad? It's not that it's sad. It's like, it's a lot of feelings.
There's a lot of feelings. The voice actor is really good. This whole scene, like the desperation in Miguel's voice is really real. Like he's so like just desperate and concerned, and the same thing. A lot of emotions. He's upset and like, oh,
yeah. He's like fighting essentially for his great grandfather's life at this point, who he just bonded with over the last 6 hours, however long the time period is. From pitch black out to sunrise, that's basically the time he's in the land of the dead. Anyway, so yeah, it works though. She starts singing along, and then she's like a lot more lucid, and it's like, oh yeah, I remember this song. And then she's like, and here's all these letters I have and this picture, and they're able to repair the ripped photo.
Yeah, I love that she just has the corner of the ripped photo.
Yeah,
that's it. She just kept the little picture of his face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And those letters end up being important because now we skip to a year later, and you see that those letters were enough evidence that it was actually Hector who wrote all these songs. Their house is now a tourist destination.
Yep.
I think there's someone who's painted "Forget You" on the De La Cruz mausoleum.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much the end. There's another really good song.
Yeah, the song starts playing while the family it's like right after he's showing his new sister, the Ofrenda, and like his appreciation. He's talking about all the family members and stuff. And they put up Coco's photo.
Yeah. And he gives his grandma like a hug. And then you see Hector gets through customs, meets up with Imelda. Coco's there too. Yeah. They walk hand in hand over the flower bridge.
Yep. Dante and the cat come too.
Yep. Yeah. And this song's really good that it ends on too, I think.
It's really good. Really, yeah.
Uplifting.
Yeah, it's nice.
And we are only about 5 minutes shorter than the runtime of the movie at this point. But
hell yeah.
Good movie. Yeah, we like it.
I love this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Me really too.
It's got such a good message, you know what I mean? Like the importance of like self and family and acceptance and
for a while I think Pixar just tried to do whatever they could just to like fuck you up emotionally. And I'm kind of glad that they moved away from that because it was always really hard to watch them.
This one feels a little more earned.
Yeah.
I agree. This one is very earned.
And
it's nice because it only hits you in the end there. You know what I mean? It's a long movie. It's only 5 minutes where you feel like you're going to die.
And I just feel like the mechanism of so much of the action of the movie is on memories. And that's what the final moment of what Miguel is trying to get Coco to do is remember. And so I feel like just thematically it all ties in. So it doesn't feel like it's going out of its way to be like, now we're going to make you cry because this is the time in the movie where we make you cry. It fits.
It does.
It all makes sense. It all fits.
Yeah.
Is this movie just Spirited Away?
I've never seen Spirited Away.
Ooh, no, it's not.
Okay. I don't think so either, but kind of.
I do think this movie is...
Maybe there's a lot of comparisons you can make.
There are comparisons.
I'm not saying it's a ripoff, but...
I'd have to see a list, but I think this movie, I would be shocked if it was not the best Pixar movie in the last 10 years.
Interesting. I was going to ask, do we want to do like a quick back of the napkin math Pixar ranking? Maybe just like a top 5, so we don't have to think of all of them.
I mean, I got this in Turning Red basically for my... in the last 10 years anyway.
Oh, I thought you meant
overall, yeah.
It's
back to Toy Story.
There's a lot that like I haven't seen in a long time, but you have that nostalgic view. Like I remember really liking Finding Nemo and
I was gonna
say
like
watched WALL-E, right?
Now you're gonna ask me to like rank 2 movies I've seen in the last 10 years compared to 2 movies movies I haven't seen, in 10 plus years.
Toy Story and
that's why I said back of the napkin math. It's not
I mean, those are great movies, but like,
yeah,
are they as great as I remember they are?
No, I was just saying. I think what I'm trying to say is I think this is a question for you guys who are up on your Pixars.
I don't even know if I can answer it. I'm up on the Pixar. Like I said, in the last 10 years, shocked if this one's not the best.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it better than Turning Red, I think.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how I'd have them ranked, but somewhere in the 5 at the top, this, Ratatouille, Toy Story, maybe I'd have lean towards 2, but for variety's sake, I'd just probably pick 1 Toy Story, so maybe I'll go with Toy Story 1. I really like The Incredibles also.
The Incredibles is really good.
Mm-hmm.
WALL-E is up there too.
Love WALL-E.
I think I gave 6.
I don't like Ratatouille as much.
I like Ratatouille.
Really?
I like it, but like I'm not putting it in my top 5.
I haven't seen it.
I would have it in my top 5. I think my number 1 is
one I like a lot,
either
actually.
Toy Story or Toy Story 2.
I like Onward a lot.
Dad
I
Pants?
also like Onward.
Dad
Mhm.
Pants, yeah,
Dad
I like
Pants.
Onward a lot.
Okay.
Not as much as Coco, though.
No.
Like I said, I think they've been doing interesting things. So since this, they had Incredibles 2, Toy Story 4, which were both
Fine.
yeah. And then the original ones they did were Onward, Soul, Luca, Turning Red, not counting Lightyear's original, which I think all have things that I would say, I not that like, I have an issue with this, but like issues that I have with the movie. I could name some for all of those probably, but I still think they're like doing interesting things. I don't know.
Yeah, there's great parts about all those movies.
I don't know. The one that's coming out in a few weeks doesn't look good. So I don't know.
I haven't heard anything about it. So if it's not being marketed at all, that usually is not a good sign.
I've seen some marketing, but I go to a lot of movies, and so maybe it's just been trailers, I guess. Elemental is the next one.
Yeah, I feel like every Pixar movie that comes out, I'm always like, this doesn't look good. There's no way this can work. And
that is
always
true.
Does, so
yeah,
that is
not
true.
always, but I mean, it usually does. Like Dad Pants, I was like, this is too much.
Yeah, I was like, this is a movie about.
weird.
And what a weird name
you
too.
Seen anything about Onward?
No.
Speaking of which, Inside Out 2 is also on the calendar.
They need to not do the sequels. I feel like the sequels don't.
Is the kid like turning 30 and like she has an inner child that she has to lose or something?
No, turns 30, existential like millennial crisis.
Yeah.
Her parents aren't apologizing.
I'd watch that.
Her parents still haven't apologized.
Her feelings are like, we just got to get her to go to therapy. She won't.
It's like the gritty Lizzie McGuire reboot that they wouldn't let Hilary Duff make.
Yes.
Yeah.
She can't go to therapy because she's like in between health insurances because her job like is part-time or something. She has 3 part-time jobs and like a gig job.
She only has anger and sadness now.
Takes place during the pandemic. Inside.
It's just during the pandemic. Oh my god. Well, we'll see. It's coming out in summer 2024. Yeah, so this wins a couple Oscars, gets 2 Grammy noms.
Yeah, I think a lot of grandmas like
Was it this? It must have won Best Animated, right?
Yes, one's Best Animated and Best Song.
Mm-hmm.
It loses the Grammy for Best Song because of the weird eligibility window. It overlapped over another song that would go on to win the Oscar for Best Song. If that's not too confusing. So,
interesting.
Yeah. So this won Best Song, and then the next year, the song that won Best Song, the next year, beat it for a Grammy.
Huh.
Question we're asking every episode on these: would you go to a musical performance given by the characters in this film?
For sure.
Right? Yeah, we like these songs.
Yeah. I was pumped because for a while our kiddo had some of these songs on her playlist in the car.
Nice.
Poco Loco was one. I was like,
Oh,
this is a
sure.
fucking jam.
Did we talk during this or before, or was it before that we were talking about like, is this the last Disney villain that's
Oh,
actually
we
existed?
briefly mentioned at the start of the podcast.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think we talked about it a lot on the Encanto episode, so we don't have to belabor the point, but they have gone with the villainless structure now, to varying levels of success, I'd say. But
Yeah, some people don't like it.
yeah, I would say that I feel like this has kind of the best of both worlds, where there
I
is
agree.
De La Cruz, but it is also about family and trauma.
Yeah.
Greg and I were
turn,
talking that we
the
think.
villain.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
yeah. I think this is like the first one that came out that's like generational trauma, and then after this, it was just like everything's generational trauma.
Yeah, because until that turn in this movie, the villain is just like him not being able to get acceptance and that generational trauma, and it's just that like that is the tension in the movie. That's where there's no villain up until that point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and what they defeat the villain, but he's still not on good terms with his family. They still have a lot of issues that I assume they are still working on those, but he has to go back home and like make Coco remember. That's what it's actually like
Yes.
his
That's
final
the
thing.
conflict, Yeah.
Yeah.
But there is still a really interesting villain in the movie.
Yeah.
Yes.
So get you one that does both is my takeaway.
Yes. And I really like it.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I think I mentioned on that episode too. I don't mind when there's no villains.
I like that De La Cruz isn't like, oh, we thought he was the villain, but he's actually nice at the end. It's like, no, we thought this guy was nice, but he murdered your dad.
And now he's murdering you.
Yeah. He murdered Coco's dad. He's murdering you. He doesn't care. He's literally dead, but still wants to be more successful.
Say, unfortunately, no concept of hell, it seems, either. So he's just here regardless. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
Yeah.
He's just fucking evil.
Yep.
Yeah, he's just evil.
Yeah.
He just is. And it's like easy for him to like throw away Miguel.
It's funny too because like there's a lot of times, especially like prior to this movie, Disney and Pixar, you get your villain and your villain is just like, this guy's evil. Why? Because he's bad. Look at him. He's evil. What, you don't need any more than that.
He's
And
got
like
a scar on his face.
he's got a scar on his face. And I don't mind it. You can hand wave it. Be like, well, yeah, you gotta have a bad guy. That's fine, you know. Why is Gaston evil? Because he's evil. He's a bad guy. You know what I mean? But De La Cruz, I'm like, there's people like this. Like this isn't like evil, like, oh, I can't believe this. It's like, no, this is like narcissistic and like there are people like this. This is not like a super rare person.
Yeah.
no, not a super rare person.
Where it's like he's killing these. I mean, obviously people aren't just murdering people all the time, but like it's all about he just cares about him. He cares about his image, and that's it. You know what I mean?
Yes. And well, I mean, we say people aren't murdering people all the time, but it's people with attitudes like his making decisions all the time that indirectly result in multiple people being murdered or dying or whatever, and they just don't care. So like to some extent, yeah, it is like people like him murdering people all the time. We just don't call it that because it's like an executive that made a decision that just resulted in, you know, thousands of deaths. But since they didn't pull the trigger, they didn't actually murder them. They just...
Yes, but it like I said, it's just so funny that he, for me, he's like such a believable character, even though he is just 100% like villain.
Yeah, no, he's a real monster.
He's the real monster. Yes.
Real monster.
It's a loop.
On that note, I guess maybe let's get into rankings.
I never think of a ranking ahead of time.
No one ever does, myself included.
No.
All right, on a scale of 0.5 to 5, on any scale of your choosing, rank this movie. And the scale cannot be stars, and I'll put these on our Letterboxd page, late to the movies on Letterboxd. Who wants to start it up? There's a couple like good nouns you can use for a scale on this one. Oh, man, there's so many. But I don't know if there's like, there might be I would say there's so many on a similar level that I wouldn't say that like there's one obvious one.
I'll start.
Yeah.
It's going to be 5 out of 5 Sholo eats Queensleys.
What was it?
That's the kind of dog,
breed of dog
right? Yeah.
that Dante is.
Oh, gotcha.
The Sholo eats Queensleys.
Did I not introduce you guys at the beginning of the podcast? I didn't.
I know.
Left, right, across your
Greg.
podcast out. We got Ray.
Hi.
We got Greg.
Hello.
We got Robbie.
Hey.
What's up? If you were confused about who was talking, now you can go back and listen from the beginning and match up the voice.
Next time he announces it, we're going to say it wrong.
I guess I'll go with 4.5. I'll do 4.5 El Brackets out of 5.
Yeah.
I think it's different, but
I am gonna go 5 out of 5 unibrows.
that was the other one. Yeah. But I was gonna do 4.5, so I was trying to figure out was it four unibrows and one brow, but like
Yeah, that would be good.
And a brow.
4 uni and 1 brow.
Out of 5.
Yeah, great movie. I'm going to go 4.5 guitars that obviously looked like Hector the whole time. How could you miss that? Out of 5.
All right. Yeah, super obvious. It's like he was actually a skeleton too.
I
Like,
know.
not even
Right.
like
Looked
in real
How
life.
did he know?
Like-
He knew exactly what he was going to look like as a skeleton. Everyone's obsessed with death. Anyway, yeah. So before the sun comes up and we all experience a second death, let's end this one. Any final thoughts on Coco?
Good movie.
Good movie.
Good movie.
I mean, I do have a
Just
final
say good
thought.
movie.
See, that's what I would. Do you want me to just say good movie?
No, what's your final thought?
My final thought is
I'm still upset because you said final thought, and I'm just like,
Final
nobody knows what happens with the final thought. It's just gone.
Should I cut from him saying final thought and then for you and then like make it obvious there's a cut and then you say no one knows what happened with the final thought? It's just gone.
yes, do it.
Okay.
I like it.
All right. Well, that was as you knew the whole time, Ray, Greg, and Robbie. Okay. Just happy to be here.
Let's pretend none of us were here.
We're on strike.
That'll be hard to do. I have the recordings.
It was all Ben, just doing different voices.
That would be impressive.
He's very talented.
I would tell people if I did that. I'm too proud.
Has been the whole time.
Always has been.
It's a one-man show, people.
Yeah. It's impressive, right? Especially when we're all talking at the same time. That's just me throwing my voice and it echoing a different. Anyway, you can find us on Podbeans and nowhere else except for Stitcher, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Bing Podcasts, Jeeves Casts.
Is that a thing still?
Nexus Plexus Podcasts.
Well, I'm just Jeeves.
Exclusively through Boolean searches. I don't know. Library databases. Try one of those, and if it doesn't work, keep moving on. You can get us on Instagram, whatever. Late to the movies _ podcast. You can email Noah. We were discussing earlier if he's ever checked this email. Ask him.
Saying I can't compare an integer to a string. I don't know.
Late to the movies at gmail.com. Both the Instagram and the email are the number 2. Yeah, aside from that, what do we usually say? Bye. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Never said bye
Good movie.
before in my life.
Do you remember hit record?